My name is Michael McKeever, and I'm echoing. And this is what I do with my students at about the first week of class, because I teach using this platform when I'm live, and we have to figure out how to mute speakers. I'm an instructor up in Santa Rosa Junior College, north of here, and I am one of the regional partners with MPIT, so I work with James and Pierre, and have done so for the past several years. And one of the projects that I've worked on with them is using this platform, Blackboard Collaborate, as an online distance tool for enhancing education and improving student outcomes. Another option is to pull out the speaker cable, which I just did. I unplugged the cable. Yeah, it's kind of kills it. Did anybody attend any of the MOOC presentations to MOOC or not to MOOC?
Yeah, I did.
You should attend that. The Coursera presentation?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so there's a little, so everybody has a sense of what MOOCs are and a little bit, but a little bit about them before we get into why I'm not going to do them. You know, who's looking? Did anybody do Rick Steves? You ever watch Rick Steves on PBS? You know, the travel guy. Is that a MOOC? I mean, well, kind of throw that out. So a MOOC is a massive online open course, and here's a lot of words about it. This is the year of the MOOC. There's a lot of information that came out this year about MOOCs and the companies and the organizations that are putting them together. It's sort of another attempt at re-energizing or revitalizing education. I kind of look at it as the McDonaldization of education. You know, is it one course fits all? It's going to be interesting to see where it goes. One of the quotes that I heard from one of the ladies that's responsible for Coursera is, "We don't know what online education is going to look like in 5 years, but we've just got to start doing something." So you see Stanford with Coursera. You see edX, Harvard. They're nonprofit. Coursera is going to be for-profit. That's what they want to do at some point. Right now, they're not offering credit for most of the MOOCs. You can get a certificate of completion, but they are not part of a regular curriculum yet. It's part of trying to figure out what to do with them. I know Coursera is going to charge at some point. They don't know what that model is going to be like. Yeah.
So Khan Academy would be like this?
Khan Academy is sort of like that. Less formal.
Yeah.
He's posted those wonderful YouTubes that people are using, and I know that they're being integrated into a number of schools. There's a couple of them in the Bay Area. There's one in particular in the Bay Area that has a grant from the Gates Foundation, an elementary school that's using the Khan Academy videos and a whole set of metrics with the faculty to track the students in a very different ways. Have you heard about that project?
Yeah.
So lots of different ways to try to use remote and distance education to sort of get the best of the best out in a larger environment. And I think that's one of the advantages that's going to come out of doing this. It's also sort of making elite education available to the masses. I mean, if you're getting some fantastic Harvard and Stanford University professors that are just like top-notch and spot on what they do, it's an amazing opportunity to take classes from those instructors and individuals. One of the discussions that I had seen a while ago about the MOOCs is that one way that they may be integrated into programs is to have, there's engineering, for example. So the introductory engineering course is kind of the same wherever you go. So if it's a MOOC and everybody takes it from one of the 5 best in the country, then you offload that class from all the other colleges in the country. Okay, there's faculty and all that sort of thing. But if you can sort of standardize it and make it less expensive, then there's time at all the other colleges to do something else with the time and resources. So that's one way they're sort of being looked at, and I think that's an interesting approach. I don't think it's going to replace everything, the face-to-face and person-to-person contact. And some people call it the McDonaldization of education. Is it going to turn us all into the same robotic sort of learners? I don't think so. I think we'll find a place for it. Tim?
So it's when I once thought that I had about it is that it's infinite requirement to learn. Knowledge is infinite to need. And so this is just kind of another delivery method that may or may not take away from other areas. So, but it's kind of a trend towards that direction.
I think so. It's another delivery method. We don't know. I mean, there's books, there's iPads, there's YouTube, there's all these different options that are being available to deliver information. I think with the technology, it makes it more interesting to be able to have a live online interaction with someone. And some of the challenges that the MOOCs are facing is, how do you grade 10,000 page papers? They're using, I know Coursera or edX is practicing with peer grading. And the results that they found is that, when they chart what the instructors, how they would grade and how the students would grade each other, the charts are spot on. There's no real variation in terms of the grades that are assessed in the grading from peer grading versus the instructor or teacher's assistants doing the grading. So there are a number of issues that they have to figure out if it's going to go big time, if they're going to start giving credit for it. How do you validate who's on the other side of the screen? Your pin and all that stuff we were joking about earlier. They don't know. We don't know how we're going to do that yet. So there are a number of technologies that have to be overcome in order to see if it's going to work. Do you have a comment?
Well, I was going to ask you, is it appropriate at this time to make a projection that might be useful?
For you to make a projection? Sure.
Because I'm from industry, and I've been in this Silicon Valley for quite a while, and I'm seeing some parallels to online education that happened to the publishing industry. And a lesson to be learned from that, which did not forebode well for some, is that in the publishing industry, the really top publishers got bigger. Some of the smaller publishers used the new tools to innovate and become bigger. Most of the mid-size got clobbered. There's a good chance that we're headed for that.
That's a definite possibility. There's another projection or study or analytic that I've seen that talks about the cost of two things that are not going to go down. One is healthcare and the other is education, simply because they're so people intensive. And you'll get certain one-time hits in economies of scale, both in the healthcare industry by the use of technology, and the same thing with education. But even with these technologies, the expectation is the cost of education is still going to continue to climb because it is people intensive. Healthcare is still people intensive, nurses and doctors, and many other things have gone down because of efficiencies and economies of scale. But the expectation is those two industries, the costs are not going to go down over time, even with the technologies. We're looking far out, 10, 20, 30, 50 years, unless we radically change. And MOOCs might bring us into that direction, or robotics, who knows?
I'm just expecting that while the cost may not go down or not, there is an unlimited need for education, so that implies that the cost will stay up. However, I would still expect massive disruption.
Massive disruption or significant change, paradigm shifts in the way that we do things. And that's what I'm already in that paradigm shift. John?
Well, just to look at one scenario, depending upon what the contract is with regard to intellectual property. If, for example, the Cisco CCNA curriculum remains the same, and I record a lecture for each chapter, and you have the online quizzes, and then you have the SBAs, which are upgraded, I am expecting.
You are, except all that material is, my students go online and Google answers for CCNA 1, Chapter 3. Boom, they've got the answers right there. So there's a huge problem with auto grading of auto tests. And we all know the issue about the grading and testing of certifications. Well, Cisco went through a number of years ago, they dropped one vendor because of abuses over in Asia, screenshots and captures for the brain dumps. So that, I think, is going to be a problem, and that how we deal with that, the stealing of intellectual property and the cheating, that's a huge issue.
And like you mentioned before about these who, of course, the Western Governors University has been experimenting for the last year and a half with two-factor authentication as an alternative to proctored tests. So they might go into a library You have keyboard recognition, which actually works very well. And yes, together with a cam and facial recognition.
So
Audio recognition, it works really well. Facial recognition, you register, and then when you go to take the test, it senses what your typing pattern and looks at your facial recognition to authenticate you for the test.
that'll get fun when we do like half around.
Yeah.
I played it.
Yeah. It's actually quite good.
Interesting. So you can see that the technology, there was a seminar we had earlier about cybersecurity in the future, looking out 20 years, and so I think we're sort of touching on these things because the cybersecurity of the future is not going to be just on the computer, it's sort of everywhere because we're going to be connected to so many different things in so many ways.
So I don't want to be soapbox or stand up and sidetrack. So I'm just going to say this: if anybody is interested in trying to identify specific things that we can do here in the U.S., I said in the previous session, because if the base level of education does get commoditized, obviously the world gets more flat, and at that level we have more competition, and it's not so great for us, is it? Great for everybody else, but not so much us. Great for political stability. True. There's a lot of good things about it, don't get me wrong, but one thing that I would like to see we Americans do, I've done all over the world teaching cloud computing in like over 100 cities, and I've seen this. But we as Americans, I think we have an opportunity to figure out what does this post-flat education world look like, and see if we can't elevate it here. I think we're definitely innovative enough to do this. I'd like to figure out if all the basic content in education is free out there, what can we do on top of that that elevates us and our abilities so that we still can have a little bit of lifestyle we've been used to. And I'm just thinking about things like, well, if information is basically standalone-ish, how do we collaborate better, perhaps, on top of that basic information to make our SLs more effective and that kind of thing? So that's, right. I'm just trying to think in that level. So if anybody's interested in that, I'll just take it offline.
Nice, thank you. Where we're, as the folks at Coursera said, where we're going with this in 5 years, we don't know. We don't know what education is going to look like. Tim's saying, it's going to be a tool. We've got it available. How are we going to use it? Quick comment.
Sometimes in my lectures, I say things that are not on in my prepared lecture, and I want to add a quick note to it. Is this something I can duplicate or?
Actually, we'll demo, and I'll deal with that one when we're in the demo part.
Yeah. One of the biggest, I guess you would call this moves online, is the United States military. What they do, they offer community college, and to their GI, they offer community college and 4-year institutions, but it's all online. And it's called eArmy Online. And there's a huge amount of money to be made in this Coast Community College down there is doing that. And so basically what happens is the GI, because they're on some ship or wherever they are on the planet, they can't attend a conventional class. So what they do is, like, for example, in the Navy, for example, there's an educational officer on, say, a carrier or something, and you come in and you take the class, and it certifies to that officer that you're the person taking the class. And of course, if you fail the class, you're standing in front of your commanding officer.
Is it asynchronous?
It's a traditional online, it's just an online environment. It's asynchronous or could be synchronous. And so then, like in some cases, if the instructor is online doing something real time, then where that GI is, they arrange for the duty thing to be standing, to be watching online. And that's done in Afghanistan, that's done in Iraq, and it's done on most capital ships in the Navy and bases all over the planet. So there's a huge amount of money in that.
So there's your cloud, there's a perfect example of that. I've got a bunch of links I'll push out to your posting. There's one that's called Semester Online. It's a relatively new one. It's U2. I'll give you the link. And there's a consortium of a relatively small number of colleges, and they're going to charge $4,000 per class. And these are, in this online MOOC environment, but they're going to get full college credit for it. The students at their universities attending the classes live in person just go live in person. if you want to take that exact same class online through their MOOC for big bills. So we've got some free ones and we got some really expensive ones. So what is going to work for community colleges? Here's a bunch of stories that were out this year. And what I'm going to do right now is show off. And there we go. On your computers will soon appear a browser with this first story. So did it open on your machines? So I just pushed that out to you. So you can see it on my screen as well, but it's up on your screen. So now you can scroll through, you can click on links on there, open up a browser. So that's just one of the tools within this Blackboard Collaborate environment. That little notepad that I had with about half a dozen stories were all from November and December of this year, and then went on with, what's Coursera doing, the big three, what these models are, and how disruptive this whole process is going to be to education. So there's a lot of information, there's a lot of material out there that's going on this year. As I said, one of the articles was, this is the year of the MOOC. So we've been doing distance education, online education in various ways, asynchronous and synchronous. The MOOCs are sort of a combination of asynchronous with terms of papers to turn in. It's relatively similar, but on a huge scale to what a lot of us have been doing already. So we're going to close that out and pop back here. So there's just a whole bunch of the stories that were out from this year. I don't think a MOOC is right for community college. I don't think that I'm going to come up with 10,000 students. Some of the MOOCs they'll have with Coursera, there's ones I've signed up for, one that's going to start in a couple of weeks. 100,000 people sign up for it. 10,000 people finish it. It's about what they're looking at lately, because the barrier to entry is zero. It's easy to get into the thing. It's free right now, at least with the ones with Coursera and edX and so forth. You can sign up, no pain. They're trying to make them relatively simple. You go through and there's 2 or 3 assignments to do. You turn in your assignment. There's discussions that you participate in. The instructors are there some of the time. They're online, real time, that you can participate. There's chats. There's sort of things that we're very used to. Yes?
So there's no advisory, the prerequisites, or anything that you should have at least overall after taking this biomedical.
Some of them have advisories. So are there advisories for these classes? Some of them have them. Some of them are part 1 and part 2. So you're going to want to do part 2 after you do part 1. They are in general introductory classes right now. That's most of the ones that I've seen. They are, although I know for a number of years, UC Berkeley is for like 6 or 7 years now, they've posted everything from art surgery to their most advanced economic classes on their websites, and you can watch those classes. Not a MOOC, you're not taking the class, it's rather they're just putting up the recording of their lectures, the audio and video recordings. Pardon?
Like iTunes.
Like iTunes, similar idea, yes. But with the MOOCs, how do we get credit for it? And so there's the the validation and those issues that we had talked about. And setting up a MOOC, each of these organizations have their own platform that they use in order to create it. And in order to have a server that's going to be able to deal with registering 100,000 students all over the world. By the way, most of them were registering from China. So we're talking about the intellectual property and the flattening of education around the world. So what I've been doing for a number of years now is using CCC Confer, what's now Blackboard Collaborate, in my classes as a way of MOOCing myself on a small scale. And it's something we've been doing for a number of years. I've got all kinds of statistics about student retention, improved student performance, and all that other kind of stuff, just as a result of using the environment. You are logged into the environment right now in real time with me, and I've got one of my students who's logged in right now who's going to be helping me with a little demonstration, and he's up in Santa Rosa. In my class, I've got the students logged in. They chat with each other. And I say something, and I don't think that's right. They'll go into Google and they'll prove me wrong, and they'll post it in the chat window and prove me wrong, and they'll chat with each other. And I get more interaction from the students by using an online distance ed tool in person in the classroom than just this face-to-face connection. And the remote students can connect with me better because usually I've got the camera and I'm walking around, and I walk around with a microphone that I've got plugged into my ear, a Bluetooth device, so I can walk around, and there's a stronger connection remotely because they can see me and they make that connection, and it's shown and it's well known that when you can see the person and you can connect with them, even if you're not there, you have a greater sense of belonging and participating, and your attention is better. And the best success I have found is that when a person is in the class once or twice and they say, I don't need to be in the class all the time, and they're away, they know me, they know the environment, they can visualize me, they know my mannerisms, and they can project themselves into the classroom more readily using these tools. So there's a lot of upsides to it, because remote students are able to connect better with me and with their colleagues in diverse locations.
I was going to second that. In the CCNA class, I got 10, 15 students local, 15, 20 or so remote, and the local students are doing more in terms of chatting with me and with everybody else than in pictures in there.
Yeah,
By themselves.
it's
synchronous, they're all on.
Yeah, if it was off, yeah.
it's synchronous. They're all at the same time, and
And there's a speaker, so if somebody speaks on the other side, folks in class can hear them.
so there's a lot of tools. There's a lot of adaptability for this. What I find is it really pushes the walls of my classroom out. It completely virtualizes me and the environment, and you get used to it, and it's not too hard to get started in, and we've got some tools and resources to do it. But obviously in a second, but for me, it's an appropriate size for a community college. The Gates Foundation sent out an RFP for community colleges to create some MOOCs. Did anybody see that? I don't know who got it, or if they did, or what they ended up doing with it. But as good as I am, I'm not going to get 10,000 students. Stan might. But what are we going to, how you want to deal with 10,000 SQL injections in that? It sort of becomes unmanageable for a lot of the things that we're teaching.
But you don't need that, right? You just leave them posed if they have a problem.
You leave them right. They just can't figure it out, and they're gone. 10,000. Yes, yeah. And it's sort of the Darwinian approach to education. So it works for me in terms of projecting myself out, projecting the class out, making it available. And we talked about the synchronous, the real-time connection. I record it; it's archived. So if a student misses it, they can watch it. If that was some great lecture, I want to watch it again instead of watching, the Hunger Games or whatever, or Homeland. So they can watch it again to review. Pick up a spot. You can drop markers in particular spots in your lecture so that they can go right to the spot where they need to review or they want to do it again.
So my question is that you can do record it so it's available throughout the semester.
Yes, I posted up 5 minutes after and now it's up there on my homepage, and students have access to it. They've had access to the last 4 years or something like that. Is there a virtual footprint? Is there a virtual footprint?
You post a question, please?
I have that integrated iClicker with it. I can set up polling. When your slides, you can create a the normal machine. So you can set up a poll and then give them A, B, C, D, or whatever 3, and you would have your slide a question and with the choices. But there's something.
Can you use a different course management system like Google or Blackboard?
This is not the course management system. This is called Blackboard Collaborate. So this is the online tool that Blackboard company bought from Illuminate and Windows. So Windows was in the K-12 space. With an E, Illuminate was higher ed. Blackboard, the company that is a learning management software system, bought both of those, ran them for about 2 years, and then they combined them together into this product they call Blackboard Collaborate.
Adobe Connect is similar to Zoom or Beta?
In the state of California, you have free access to it as a community college instructor. In Nevada, they have access to a license. So that's the whole state of California. Every community college has access to it. In Nevada, they bought a license for Adobe Connect, and Hawaii has license for this as well. So our region is basically covered for outside the region, and depending upon if your resources for your company, it does cost. I don't know anybody that's using WebEx. Yeah.
So for walks, how do they regard their
How do they regard my attendance? I am 100% face-to-face in the way I create my classes. And I tell the students, if you are unable to attend, you've got this online option.
But what walks will count if they participate on it?
I don't have to take attendance. My first 2 classes after that, my census is done. I do not take attendance, and I don't count it as part of the grade.
So they're not concerned about teaching.
I'm not concerned about seat time, no.
It's not possible.
Yeah, it's not positive attendance anymore.
You get attendance the census, but for the census date, you need to know that the people came into your class.
Just up to the census day.
Up to the census date. So that time you want them in the class, and after that they can do it.
No, I even let them be remote. After the first, I know them already. But yes, if you're going to be completely right about it, you create it as a hybrid class, and then have them attend the first lecture and then in person. But I always do my live synchronous with a group of people because I find I present better, there's more interaction, and the students online have a better experience, and the students in person have a better experience. You can get, and I've done that at times as well, I've talked to them, Washington, D.C., I'll show you a slide in a minute where I've got a student in Shanghai. So that does, all that stuff does work.
2 comments regarding the attendance. If you're using this, it shows some attendance based on
You can see the list.
Right, but in our case, if a student's on financial aid and they drop out by not attending and they fail, then they have to pay the money back. So our registrar requires us to identify the last day they attended if they fail.
So then you can fill that in, and you can. And I tell my students, no avatar sign in with your real name, so I can know who's there, so I can call them and they know who's there. And if they're not in class, I want them to sign in. They obviously are. If they're at home, I have them do their name at home, or at work, or at the beach, or wherever they are.
Right.
So what exactly are your regulations about the attendance? They can do it from anywhere, but they have to show up at class.
They do not have to show up at class. My finals, they have to be in class. The skills final.
Like show up in class,
Physically in person.
But do they have to be? You're saying they can log on.
Physically in person.
How does the Singapore guy
They
do
can
it?
watch the archive.
That was a business trip.
They can watch the archive sessions and count and everything.
I don't count them being in class. Up until first census, for me, if they're not there, I drop them.
I'm trying to get it. Do they need to be there with you at the same time, or can they review the archive sessions?
Initially, they are looking at synchronous real time. After that, it's okay if they review it. You've got students that are they're working.
Well,
It's impossible. Did they get sick? I've had students finish in the hospital.
But you do want them to be
Yes.
live.
Yes.
Time.
I want them checking. I want them to have checked in.
Do you have them use the website?
They can, but there's the bandwidth issues there. If you start to use too many, this maxes out at 6. I have them do a course check-in. We've got in our LMS, we've got a check-in system. So if they check in, they're good for the census. And it's their responsibility to drop and give their money back.
One last question about the attendance thing. If they don't come to the online system, they do it on their own because it's recorded. Is there a way you can identify that they did that?
Yes, but I don't do that. You can check to see who's gone into the recordings. You can look at those. And by URL, by IP address. But if they're taking tests every chapter, there's a test, and so they're doing the work. And if they're not looking at the lectures and doing the reading, they're not going to be able to do the work.
Yeah, I use it myself. I set up. I put the recordings up online behind a class password protected page that tracks, when the student visits that particular page. So they visit that page, it tracks that. They launch it from there. Of course, if they don't launch it, I'll never know that. But as Michael said, again, the point is that there's other measurements. They have to get their assignments done. They got to get their tests done. In my classes, I don't actually grade on attendance particularly.
The main thing is, I did this for two reasons. One is because I was seeing a huge drop between semester 1 and semester 2, and I didn't know why. And the other is I wanted to experiment. So going through this whole process has shown me that the three things that it's enabled me to do is to allow the students greater success, to succeed. The student success rate is significantly improved. That's the main thing for me. How it works, why, that doesn't matter. You know, we're here to impart information, to teach them to help them improve their lives and get jobs and so forth. By doing it this way, if they're sick, if they're at home with their kids, they don't have gas money, it's a flood, you know, we don't have, you know, whatever it happens to be, they can still get the content material. I said I had a student who finished from the hospital. I got people that go on business trips around the world. They're working, they're busy. Here's Doug. Can't see him. Here's Doug Astor. He's in Shanghai, China. Right? I signed in. He's in Shanghai. Add him to a trace route from his hotel. Can't really see it, I guess, back there. 192, 168. There's his hotel. Now he's in China. Milliseconds are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 182 milliseconds.
Yeah.
Across the ocean. The Trans-Pacific fiber optic cable. Now we're in San Jose, bounced up to San Francisco. Now we're up to San Jose. There's my classroom. 22 hops. Had another student in Kenya, 23 hops. He went up to London, across the Atlantic, just showing you that it completely virtualizes you, and it makes it, worldwide. I've had students that go to India for weddings, and they're there for a couple of weeks. So it's a way of eliminating the disruptions. So I'm sort of, trying to give you the reasons why this is such a cool thing. And I, in my little blurb, I said I have a bias for distance education, and this is it. It's based on market valuation. The classes that you take that are the most expensive are in-person, hands-on, face-to-face teachers. The second most expensive are the synchronous online, and the least expensive are the asynchronous online. That's the way they work best. And I think they're going to continue it that way. Would you guys want to do SAM SQL injection all by yourself online? I mean, there's some things that you want the human interaction with, and I don't think that's going to go away. I think we have the ability to enhance it. And at a community college, I don't think we're going to go getting 10,000 students. I mean, there's 4 million students in community colleges in California. We've got 25% of the total in the entire country with 112 colleges. 3 million? It's gone down with budgets. So, that's a lot of students, but we're not going to poach from each other, and we are not the draw. The community colleges are not the place to get the elite education. Some of us do really cool stuff that you can't find anyplace else, but I don't think we're going to be able to commoditize it. It's local, it's what we do. So for community college, this makes the most sense to me, and I've had a lot of success with it, and it's free.
You mentioned success rate earlier. What was the success rate and what is the success rate?
So I had drops from the beginning to the end of the class. It's a Cisco CCNA series. So from class 1 to the end of class 4, first couple of years before I did this, I'd have a 60% drop from the day 1 to the last day. Now I'm about 40%. And the grades have gone up. I did a study a couple of years ago and looked at grades and retention rates, and there was a significant increase in the 20% range for both. It's anecdotal. It's not it's not NSF standards and so forth. The thing is that this environment gives the students the option. They can be in person, they can be online, synchronous, they can be asynchronous. It's for their learning style. I'm not forcing them to do one or the other. So if they want to be completely online, they can do that. And so it works for other students, we all know, cannot make it in an online environment. They don't have the discipline, they're distracted, whatever's going on. So it gives me the option to give them whatever works best for them.
I was wondering, what is the, maybe you answered this already, but what is the maximum number of students you think would be useful in this environment?
I haven't hit a number. I've done presentations to like 100 people online. It's hard to manage. If you do that, you're going to want somebody to help doing the chat. I don't know what the capacity of the system is huge. It's in the cloud.
Yeah, sure.
It illuminates servers. So
basically, it becomes availability of your own time to respond to everybody.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, why not start with something like this? And I wouldn't be surprised if one of somebody's classes gets big, like really big.
By all means. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's issues within the state about you taking a class at my college and how do you advertise it, and I mean there's certain barriers to entry for that. I don't know what the Gates Foundation, the Gates Foundation grant did.
Okay.
So there's, Jane? Process questions.
But do you have a video camera on you when you do?
I do have a video camera on me, and I'm not going to write a lot on the screen follow me with it.
Okay.
I'm low tech. I want to be in a classroom where the camera follows me. That exists.
Okay, so microphone, you have a
Microphone, Bluetooth microphone that I usually use. I know it's just, it didn't recognize, so I didn't use it today. So there's one up there that's picking up the room sound. And I hope it's picking me up.
And then for your students, when if we wanted to talk to somebody, your students,
Jim.
Okay, Jim. Hi, Jim. Do you have the camera, like that camera, just look to the person who's asking the
You
question?
can set the cameras, if you've got multiple cameras, you can set them to follow the speaker or follow the moderator. There's ways to do it.
Okay.
If it's a lecture, I mean, lecturing is 1/3 of the normal role that you would play. What about I allow students to do the quizzes at the end of the not the lab, quizzes at the end of the the given. We make them do a group and then we discuss them and then we do that and then we do Jeopardies or other games at the end of it. How do you do it in this environment?
How do you do it in this environment? Okay, I don't want to use, it can be done in this environment, and you got to take a class or learn how to do it because I don't want to demo that now. But there's a way to do all those things. But what I want, so you could do it with PowerPoint slides. You just share your desktop, you share the application, it gets pushed out. Like the slides I'm sharing, you're seeing it on your screen. Right? I'm sharing my PowerPoint slideshow here. You're seeing this on your screen. Whatever's on my machine, I can push out. I can share that out.
I want to mention that CC Confer is great about putting on training sessions, and their technology is great. And free, online, all kinds of
CCC Confer's just got they're a great group of people. They're here, they're helping us. They're doing this whole recording. You know, we've been doing the recording in Confer for every session using CCC Confer. The name's bad. It sounds like you're stuttering. One thing I'm thinking about doing with MOOCs for my program is I'm going to be talking to Coursera to talk about how I can use them for their classes for credit in my program. So I think there's a way to do that, use their stuff in my community college. Yeah, I can proctor the exam. So I'm not anti-MOOC. I'm thinking how to use them the best way. These tools, so here at MPIC, this is something I do all the time. I teach faculty. In the summertime, we have a faculty development week, and we do it in Southern California, Northern California. I teach this stuff. I give you a week-long seminar on how to do it, how to integrate it into your class. The best thing to do is to start easy and just record your existing class. Get a mic, get a camera, record it. Don't even try to be fancy. Just record it so the students have a lecture, an archive. It's easy to put up PowerPoint slides. There's information from Blackboard and from CCC Confer how to do a number of things that you can easily get started on. If you want to do it in your Nevada, Hawaii, or California, I'd be happy to help you with any of this stuff. There's me. Here's a toolkit that we put together on some of the stuff, Jane, you were asking about, the mics, and how to do certain things, equipment to buy, and so on and so forth. But what I wanted to do, in all the time that we have left, since you're already logged on, is to get Jim to share on his desktop, because CJ, you were asking about the things that you do in class. We do a lot of labs. So I can, if I've got a student that's remote in the classroom, they're having a problem with the router or the switch, how do you program it? I can be right there. What if they're remote? So, Jim, can you share your packet tracer? Do you know how to do that? Up in the top there with that middle window just to the right of the squiggly red line. If you click on that and then you choose your packet tracer, a thumbs up. There we go. Waiting for the web tour. That's the web tour, just to the left of it. The icon to the left. That was the web tour. So click on the one to the far left, the red squiggly line. Where you're sharing applications, and then you got a list, and you're going to choose Packet Tracer. So go back to the middle icon there, and then you should tab over to Packet Tracer, and then go back to the sharing application, and then you should have a pick list And failing that, share your desktop. And what he's going to do, hopefully, is be able to show me his desktop. And I can watch him go through. Ta-da. So there's his desktop. So now open up Packet Tracer. And now open up a router. So the ideal way to do this would be, so just click on a router or a switch. So go over to the command line and could you give the host name, change the host name to your first name. So now it's called switch. So can you show me the command to get to the privilege level and change the host name from switch to your first name. So we did the enable command, and I was going to configure it and go ahead and change the name of the switch from switch to Jim Cooper, and now we see the name has changed. Okay, if he's having a problem, I can go in here and I can well, we got 1 minute left. I can request control of his desktop or control of the application and go in and then demonstrate for him. He's not getting it, so here's how you do it.
Are others seeing that as well?
You're seeing it right now. You're seeing his desktop as well. It gets pushed out. So everybody can see me interacting with the students. So that's just one little thing. They can create breakout rooms. We talked about polling. This is a very rich environment. I don't have any stock in the company. But I find it very, very useful. And if you're going to go down this little rabbit hole, start slowly and do the easiest things first and just sort of explore the options that are there for you. If you've got a student that likes to do this stuff, give them extra credit and have them sit on the side and log in and deal with the chat and help you. Have an assistant. Just simple tips to get you going with this. If you want to do it, by all means, ping me, send me a note, I'll help you out with it if you have questions. It's in California, in Nevada, and Hawaii, it's a free resource. There's no reason not to do it. It's easy to add. After a while, it sort of becomes second nature, and you're going to find out the really cool tools and the other pieces that are there that you can use to really enhance the program for your students. So, last question.
I teach online.
Teach online.
School, and how well does it work for one of the students from it should work if they have a class that connects to the so I can get a moderator for this. Yes.
You don't have to give the moderator.
Oh, I can just have them share it.
You can give them application share it, and then they can share the desktop with the application, and then you can request control. And the speed issue is mainly about video. And they can turn off the video, and there's ways that they said it shows you if you are if the signal from you is slow getting to them, then you can slow down. Sometimes they laugh at me online because the server is speeding up to try to catch up with crashed audio, so it sounds like I'm on email.
I work in an environment where the computers can be free.
Computers can be free? Yeah. So do I.
So is there something that users can do quickly to get on to enable their things, or do I have to talk to whoever and fix it?
It's all web-based, so they can go on and they just go to the website. There's a link to click, just like you did. The way you did it today was a little anomalous. There's a website that you go to to confirm to get to the class and boom, you're there. It's completely all web-based. So I mean, you've got Java and web, and you're good to go.
If I might speak to that, in my
no, do not listen to this man. I'm serious. It's dangerous.
I don't have my students logged into this thing in the classroom because they're already in the classroom and they can see everything happening on the overhead projector. So, and in fact, I asked them kind of not to do that because we get bandwidth issues when everyone's logged in. Unless you have a really robust network, everybody logged into the classroom at once bogs things down. So I pretty much limit the live connections to people that are at home.
So, different ways of doing it. So if we had more time, we go through some of the tools that are in this thing that make it really whiz-bang and really cool. But by all means, experiment with it, play with it. If you have questions, I'd be happy to help you with it. We're done. And we have a raffle. Fill out your evaluations, and we'll exchange there's a bunch of prizes. I know that there's a laptop, and yeah, it's a recycled one. Still, that's pretty good. So thank you all. I don't know if we turn them on. The printer?
And you sign documents to my paperwork.
Jim, thank you. It was quick. I appreciate you being out there. You get extra credit for the next class. Oh, you don't need it. You always get A's anyway. Thank you. See you in a couple of weeks.